brought to the world of the day. Crowns on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold. This may refer to their color. It is interesting to notice that the prophet Ezekiel, in speaking of the Sabian Arabs, says this: the Sabians from the wilderness which put beautiful crowns upon their heads. In Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 42. And here we see pictures of Muslims with what? Turbans. Muhammad says, make a point of wearing turbans because it is the way of angels. Their faces were as the faces of men. Edward Gibbon, in describing the Arab of that day, says this: his breast is fortified with the austere virtues of courage, patience and sobriety. The gravity and firmness of the mind is conspicuous in his outward demeanor. His speech is slow, weighty and concise. He is seldom provoked to laughter. His only gesture is that of stroking his beard, the venerable symbol of manhood. They had hair as the hair of women. Authorities record the fact that the Arabs of Muhammad's day literally wore long hair. In the famous Antar poem written at the time of the Arab invasions, it says, he adjusted himself properly, twirling his whiskers, folded up his long hair under his turban, drawing it from off his shoulders, and his hair flowed down his shoulders, and we will hang him up by his hair. Lion's teeth. Naturalists inform us that the home of the lion is Saudi Arabia. We always think of Africa, don't we? In Arabic literature, the lion is the constant emblem of the valiant warriors. Gibbon says, Eutychus, the patriarch, observes that the Saracens fought with the courage of lions. And they also were very destructible, which is typical of the lion. Chapter 9, verse 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. The rise of Muhammad was in 612 AD, and for a long time after his death, there was no central king over them. Each tribe had its own ruler. But in 1299, Ottoman became king, and what we call the Ottoman Empire was formed. We know that the 5 months began at this time because the prophet says they had a king. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. Dr. Josiah Litch. In 1838, Dr. Litch interpreted this prophecy to the Islamic religion, and that the time prophecy related to the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Dr. Litch believed that the Bible taught that one prophetic year or one prophetic day equaled 1 year. In Numbers 14:34, after the number of the days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise. And Ezekiel 4:6, and when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have appointed thee each day for a year. So one biblical year consists of 360 days, which we can derive from the book of Genesis. One biblical month is 30 days. Therefore, one prophetic year equals 360 years. 5-month prophecy equals 5 times 30 days, is therefore 150 days, therefore is 150 years. So when did the 150 years start? According to Edward Gibbon, Othman first entered the territory of Nicomedia on the 27th of July 1299. So at this date he then started and commenced the war on Eastern Rome. And when did the 5 months finish? In 1449. What happened in 1449? During the whole period of the Ottoman Turks were engaged in perpetual war with the Greek Empire, but yet without conquering it. But in 1449 a change came. In the year 1448, John Pelagius, the Greek emperor, died, but left no children to inherit his throne, and in 1449 Constantine Diocletian succeeded to it. He, however, would not venture to ascend the throne without the consent of Amurath, the Turkish Sultan. This was a voluntary surrender of the sovereignty. This row ended in 1449 and the second row starts. So what are the first row characteristics? Arabic Islam, a power of the bottomless pit. It was sudden and violent in nature. A prolonged war between the East and the West, culminating with the Battle of Nineveh, was the key to and preceded their rise to the power. They were to torment and hurt Eastern pagan Rome and papal Rome. Story continues, verses 12 to 15. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed which were prepared for an hour and a day, and a month and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of man. Now we see the same dark religious power, but this time coming from the river Euphrates, which referred to the area of the country of Turkey. The 4 angels referred to the 4 great sultanates, Baghdad, Damascus, Iconium and Aleppo, of which at that time the Turkish power was composed. The Roman Empire was divided into 3 parts. This 3rd part related to the Greek Eastern Empire, and the capital was Constantinople. So the second time prophecy, this is what Josiah Litch was studying. Notice this time period, an hour, a day and a month and a year. What does that all add up to when you follow it through? It comes to a total of 391 years and 15 days. So when did the time prophecy start? At the end of the 5th trumpet, 27th of July 1449. Josiah Litch predicted that the fall of the Ottoman Empire would happen sometime in August 1840. Weeks before the date, he then narrowed it down to the 11th of August 1840. And the prophecy was fulfilled. You add 27th of July 1449, you add 391 years and 15 days, you come to the 11th of August 1840. What happened in 1840? On the 11th of August 1840, on board a ship, the Turkish leader signed a paper that took away the independence and the power of the Turkish Sultan forever. Where then was Turkish supremacy on August 11th, 1840? It was gone. Who now held the power? The 4 great powers of Europe. Up until that time, they had continued to attack that eastern part of the Roman Empire until the last remains of it were gone and the modern nations ruled. This amazing prophecy was pointed out and written up in the newspapers before 11th of August 1840. And when it really happened on time, many people believed that God's word was true. It's reported that over 1,000 infidels gave their lives to Christ. And what really happened in 1840? It confirmed that the day for year principle held. Therefore, when William Miller was preaching that the end of the world would take place at the end of 2,300 years, they believed it. What else happened in 1840? We find the chapter of Revelation 10 is between Revelation chapter 9 and 11. And this portrays the history of the Advent movement between 1840 and 1844. And a mighty angel came down. We find that this history took place at 1840. So this mighty angel came down with power. What gave power to the people? That the day for year principle was true. This is what took place. There's war with Egypt. For several years the Sultan had been embroiled in war with Muhammad Ali Pasha of Egypt. In 1838 there was a threatening of war between the Sultan and his Egyptian vassal. Muhammad Ali Pasha, in a note addressing to the foreign consuls, declared that in future he would pay no tribute to the Porte and that he considered himself independent sovereign of Egypt, Arabia and Syria. The Sultan, naturally incensed at this declaration, would have immediately commenced hostilities had he not been restrained by the influence of the foreign ambassadors and persuaded to delay. This war, however, was finally averted by the announcement of Muhammad that he was ready to pay $1 million. In 1839, hostilities again commenced and were prosecuted until, in a general battle between the armies of the Sultan and Muhammad, the Sultan's army was entirely cut up and destroyed, and his fleet taken by Muhammad and carried into Egypt. So completely